Thank you, Brother Dalton. Thank you for the opportunity. Um, so about 11 years ago, my pastor in Michigan, we're originally from Michigan, but we're down here in South Carolina now. My pastor asked me, as the tech guy, I got the live streaming going, I got the website, got people coming to the church through the website and things like that. He was like, Brother Douglas, I saw this screen at a church and somebody was touching it and it had their missionaries on it. Can you do something? And so it was basically, as a web developer, I said, yeah, I'll build something that we can just, use online. Well, things got weird because of security and things like that. So we ended up partnering with, in a sense, partnering with the software company, and we for over 10 years now, or 11 years now, we've been putting the software into churches using Windows software, a touchscreen display, and a Windows computer. But my heart for missions, it came from that preacher, Pastor Adam Summers. And one of the things that I realized was that most of our church was not engaging in missions. We were missions minded. My wife and I, we're not able to go on the mission field because of health reasons, but we're very missions minded, and thought that, hey, why aren't people reaching out to the missionaries? Every time I talk to a missionary that comes to our church, they talk about how a church takes them on for support, but then they never hear from them again. So Mission Display was kind of built around that whole idea, where it's like we need to connect members to missionaries.
Yeah, awesome. I apologize when you was talking. I had just randomly somebody's out here like weed eating the side of the building right when we start this call. So, anyways,
I
yeah,
didn't
no,
hear.
that's awesome. As far as how y'all got started, and just so everybody knows, and we're about to get into the details of what digital mission display is. But yeah, y'all's main goal, y'all's main thing is getting churches in America, the church members, getting them with a deeper connection with missionaries that are going around the world spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ. And I know personally, as a pastor myself, that there's a great disconnect when it comes to the actual members being connected to missionaries. Oftentimes, the pastor can have a deeper connection with missionary because he might talk to him more. But sometimes presenting the vision of the missionary and the heart of the missionary
Right.
to members that have a very loose connection with them is a hard thing to do. And I do think, y'all's mission for that is very needed in the local church today, especially if we believe the Great Commission, and spreading the gospel around the world. It's not just pastors, but the church members part for too. Um, so that's awesome. So how long have y'all been doing this? When did y'all start doing this?
So 2014 was the beginning of everything. Originally, I had just put a computer together with a regular TV and a touch screen overlay, and had to bolt all that stuff together, and it was really, clunky and wonky. But now it's pretty streamlined, and things are remoted into, and we can have everything self-contained on one area on the wall. So it's come a long way. 7 versions of the software, and again, 2014 is when we started doing this.
Yeah, perfect. Perfect. So I know I'm going to have you share your screen and look at some of these images to give people a little glimpse of what it looks like. And it's all digital. One of the things that it kind of solves, correct me if I'm wrong, it kind of solves the whole missionary letter, one of those issues of the missionary
Yeah.
letter. Because I know as a pastor, I get tons of them a month, missionary actual letters from our missionaries. And me reading all of them myself can be kind of a daunting task, especially, with all the things we have going on in the ministry, and any of the guys like me who aren't full time in the ministry as well, who still, operate working full time and doing different things like that.
Right.
When it comes to missionary letters, reading them yourself, but then finding time to read them to the church, because your church members ain't going to read all of them. You ain't going to pass around this missionary letter. Even if you printed copies, it's a lot of work to print the copies and give it to everybody, and then having them, in their own time, find time somewhere to read them. And so
Right.
I feel like that's one of the big things that digital mission display really solves is getting the hearts of the missions of what they're doing and what they have going on every month kind of actually in front of the church members, where they can actually see it visually very easily, throughout the times they come to church and everything. But
Yeah.
give people a description real quick of what is a digital mission display, what it kind of looks like, what are the problems it solves, and maybe even get into the little nitty gritty. You ain't got to go into all the details of what it can all do, but maybe some of the things that it does that really impacts, the church members being able get connected with the missionary better.
All right. So mission display is, like you said, it's digital. So one of the things I wanted to expound on was that whole process of dealing with prayer letters and ministry updates. And there's a lot of churches that have come up with great ideas, hanging them on the wall, putting them in a book, putting them in behind plastic containers and all that. What mission display does is it frees up all of that space. So now instead of you having to, go down a hallway and replace letters and all that, it's all inside of a device that you can log into remotely. So one of the problems that it solves, and I'll share my screen with you, is you can view a missionary. So this is the world map of the mission display. There's two maps. There's this pinch and zoom map. Okay, you can take your fingers and pinch and zoom. This is all on a touch screen display. And then there's a second map. It's the basic map. So you can click on a continent and see all the missionaries that are on that particular continent. When you do click on a ministry or a missionary, it has a profile image and it has a profile video, but those letters are all inside of the profile. So their entire missionary trail, and it's loading up. Their entire missionary trail can be placed on the in the mission display. There's a lot of memory for you to store mission letters and videos and things like that on the computer. And then you can pinch and zoom on this letter too. So if you wanted to make it bigger, you could zoom in it. But the really great thing about the software and what it really was based upon, the grand scheme of things, was QR code technology. So every outbound link that the software that they put into the software, like an email or a giving site, their social media, even prayer letters. You could, if they have a prayer letter that's on a URL, like on a website, the software will automatically generate those QR codes, so that take out your phone, open up the camera app, scan a QR code, and you literally have the missionary in your hand. You can either text them, call them, read their prayer letter. All of those things that you would have to take time inside of the church to do, you can do on your own.
Wow. So real quick, let me stop you for 1 minute. And if there was still stuff you wanted to show over there, you can definitely go back over there. But I didn't know that, so that's pretty cool. So there's actually on the TV there that'll be on the wall that people can actually touch and zoom in and look at everything and go to the different missionaries and look at their prayer letters and everything. But when they click on that missionary, it spits out QR codes or whatever QR codes are generated for their information, but they even have it to where, like, if that missionary has online giving set up for them or something, where they can actually scan the QR code and the church member can just scan the QR code and give them a love offering
That's right.
directly. That's awesome. Yeah, that's really
Yeah.
awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
imagine. Sorry, go ahead.
No, imagine what? I want to hear.
I was just gonna say, imagine, like, just in my mind, because we support lots of missions in Thailand. So like we're real heavily vested in several different missionaries that are in Thailand. And so, like, we do special offerings for them all the time from the church, as far as, like, raising money for, like, building projects over there, different things. I can imagine it'd be super, super simple if that missionary had some sort of online giving payment processor set up where we could give and it go directly to them. If we just said, hey, instead of taking up checks and cash for, this missionary, if you just say, hey, you can go scan their QR code back, on the wall back there, and they can, and every church member can just give a love offering directly to them with their debit card of whatever they want. I
Yeah.
think that would be very beneficial.
That
So
absolutely right. And there's several different ways to do that. So you could do it on that page, that missionary profile page that I showed you, or you could do it on, you can make slides and you can use the mission display as digital signage. So the software also provides a digital signage aspect, so that after a few minutes, the map goes away and you can either run videos as a screensaver, images as a screensaver, or all of the missionaries or selected missionaries as the screensaver. In addition to that, there's areas on the map that you can actually put different graphics. So if you wanted to make your own QR code and you wanted to be able to scan to Tithely or some other platform that the church uses, then you could do it that way also. So there's a lot of different ways to engage people, and it is an engagement device. I mean, it's literally it's been devised to engage members and visitors of the church with missions.
for sure, yeah. So church members can just go right back to the wall and look around the world at all the maps and different things. Because I know the old-fashioned way, which is not the old-fashioned way, the way that the average church is using today, even our church where I pastor, is normally they have a big like map of the world on the wall, and they'll have like pins, maybe
Right.
even with a little slither of paper that the missionary's name's on that is pinned to that
Sure.
area or something. And and don't get me wrong, it works, it's perfectly fine. But this is like just a completely just advanced, upgraded, super easier way to have that map. It just does away with the pins, all of that. It's digital visual view where you can actually add a missionary really easy, pin them wherever they are in the continent, in the world. Yeah,
Right.
that's pretty awesome. So when it comes to the slides you were talking about, so in other words, you can have like pictures of each missionary family that are just on like a 10-second loop or something. Every 10 seconds, it slides to the next missionary family where people can just come by there and stand there and watch and see every missionary y'all support slide by.
Yeah, that's exactly right. So the way that that's done is inside of the software in the admin area, there's a place where you can change the screensaver from video slideshow to image slideshow to missionary slideshow. And then you can set that activity timeout from 1 minute to 10 minutes. And then each slide can be from 10 seconds to 60 seconds. So if you wanted to, if you had an upcoming event or you had visitors coming and you wanted to make some slides for a slideshow, you could put those on there and use that slideshow. Now, if you wanted to highlight a missionary that was coming to your church and that's all you wanted to have on the missionary slideshow, you could just check this box and they would be in the slideshow. If this box is not checked, the slideshow box, then they don't get displayed on the mission display slideshow. So I just have one currently on there, but if I wanted to, I could come into each one of these and I could select every single missionary. They would all run. Yeah, so it's super easy, very easy interface. It's not over like thought out. It's very simple to use and navigate through. And then we have this help text on each map, so you can change this text to whatever you want to. You can put your church name here. You could put, this preacher's visiting, this missionary's visiting on each one of either the screensaver, that basic colored map, or the pinch and zoom map.
Nice.
Kind of
Awesome.
cool.
Awesome. Yeah, for sure. So one question that comes to my mind, because we being a software owner and operator ourselves, I already know this is a big question every church will have. Number one, their one question is, well, we're not tech savvy, and there's just no way we could set something like this up. We don't even know how to do any of that, and we don't have anyone in the church who's tech savvy or willing to take it on to set it up. What does the setup process look like for this? So if somebody wanted to set this up for their church, what's the setup process look like? What's the support look like getting it set up? And then what's the support look like just if they ever need anything continually?
Right. So the idea over time, because we had traveled around the United States and installed these, it was so difficult for churches to understand how to, put all these pieces together and connect them. We drove around the states and installed them from Oregon to Long Island to Florida. After COVID, we had about an 18-month break. I had a really bad COVID experience. And then we decided, hey, you know what? Let's make this so that the church can just install it. And then we'll remote into it and teach them how to use it and make everything happen. So the toughest part, really, in my opinion, is just getting it installed. But if you have somebody that can install a TV on the wall and make sure it's secure, plug in a few plugs, and turn it on, then you just contact me and then we do an online Zoom meeting where I go over all the steps on how to add missionaries, and all that training is all included in the mission display package. We've considered churches that purchase from us partners, but we also have another level of partnership to where if the church wants to take us on for support so we can do this for more churches, then we will handle everything. So I'll reach out to every one of your missionaries. I'll get all their information. I'll consistently update it. When their mission letters come in, we will update everything for you. So then it'll be hands off. You can literally program the monitor to come on and off when you want it to. The computer stays on all the time. So it's just basically, there on the wall. You just have to preach missions from the pulpit.
Yeah, perfect. So okay, so that's a great question, or so that's a great caveat. Okay, so basically, and I didn't know this either, so I'm learning this now too. So y'all basically have two programs. Y'all kind of have a do-it-yourself kind of program where you train them how to do it, you equip them how to do it, you teach them how to do it, and then if they ever need anything, I'm sure they can shoot you an email and you can try and help them out
Yes.
with whatever they're working, whatever issues they're having. Y'all have that customer support. But you also
Right.
have kind of another program where y'all do it just completely for them. If they take y'all on digital mission display on for support, and y'all do it completely for them. Is there like a certain level of support to get that, or is it just anything monthly that they give you support wise? Y'all will manage everything as far as updating their missionary letters, slides, anything they need. You do it all from your end, and their computer is just up and running, up to date perfectly.
That's a great question. So what God put on my heart when all this went down was we were praying, my pastor and I were praying, and he brought up the subject, Brother Douglas, you've just now created another job for the church. It's a great product and we love it and we're using it and it's engaging people, but you've created another job for somebody at the church. So what I prayed about was God direct me, on how much I should charge for this. What should I so what God put on my heart was whatever you support your missionaries for. So if you have 40 missionaries and you support your missionaries for $100 a month, that's what you would support us for. If you have, 150 missionaries, we're going to talk about that a little bit. There's a great deal of time spent. We do have churches that support us and they do all the updating because they want to have the extra support and a fallback, but they also want the church members to get involved in missions. And I don't ever want to take that away. If there's somebody in the church that like, I don't make this a requirement, because if there's somebody in the church that wants to get involved in missions, I want them to help us with their mission display and update things, read prayer letters, pray for them. I don't open a prayer letter without reading it personally, and praying for these missionaries. I have a stack of cards that are not just laying on my shelf, but they stick out, and I rotate those and I pray for those missionaries because I have thousands of missionaries. I have over 700 that are just registered to our website. So yeah, so that's kind of the angle of that.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, absolutely. Yeah. When it comes to the amount of missionaries is going to determine the amount of work y'all have. So it's not like
Right.
someone can, donate $20 a month and then you be managing 150 missionary letters every
Right.
month updating.
Yeah.
So no, I completely understand. For anybody out there that watches this, any pastor that watches this, and it's just like, oh my goodness, we got to pay a certain amount of money. Like, can I help you with something? Any quality service you pay for somewhere else, the only reason it's good service is because you're paying for it. And I try to
Right.
tell people all the time, if you want junk customer service, if you want junk help, junk support, then don't pay anything to some company somewhere. That's fine. And yeah, because the aspect is the amount of workload, like, there's only so much you can do. Like, eventually it's going to get
Right.
to a point where you can't manage all these churches and you got to hire someone. Well, if there's not enough money coming in to do that, then all these churches support's just going to be junk, because you can't
Exactly.
afford. So there's got to be a cost to help support the ministry, to help support digital mission display, to be able to help hire other people that, number one, bless them financially, maybe help them, other ministries. I know us at GM Baptist Outreach, we have pastors that work for us that we pay, supporting their families as they pastor, people that are in the ministry and Bible college that we support, that do work for us, but we wouldn't be able to pay them if we didn't charge any kind of money. You know what I
That's
mean?
right.
And so they get an opportunity to be blessed, to be a blessing to other churches and serving them through GM Baptist Outreach. But we also get to be a blessing to them and being able to pay them and help take care of their families. So it's all a needed circle of life. You know what I mean? So,
It's
so I
true.
I completely understand. Like, there's got to be a financial piece to it on y'all's end for the support side. If you want it to be quality, if you want it to be junk, where it's like, hey, I'll get to your missionary letters in 3 months because I've got 500 churches paying me $20 a month. So
Right.
I'll get to y'all. You know what I mean? So absolutely. So I get it, and that's awesome. I didn't know that y'all did that personally. If our church, we're in the middle of a building project right now, and I
Right.
didn't told you that we're gonna get this set up for our church once it's completed, which will probably be by the end of the year or something. But
Yeah.
we'll probably do the done for you. I'll probably have you do our missionary letters. That way we don't have to
Amen.
focus on making sure it's done every on time every month. So
Right. Yeah.
um,
And the question that we get a lot is it just you doing that? And it's not. So we have a team of 5 that are working, around the clock, literally. I have somebody that I've worked with in web development in Dubai. I have 2 in Dhaka, Bangladesh, so that help me on a pretty much a daily basis. And then we have one in Canada, along with the software team, which is based in Tennessee now. So Yeah, we're not going to be it's not a one man show. It's not going to be, one and done.
Yeah.
You got support. We've been doing this for over a decade, so we've, kind of got the kinks worked out.
Perfect. Yeah. Yeah. That's awesome. That's awesome. So that was a good question. I feel like I had another question that came up earlier, but I didn't forgot what it is. It might come to my mind in a
Sorry about
minute.
that.
No, you're good. That support question was, I think, a big one that most churches that watch this are gonna wonder. Matter of fact, I know they're
Right.
gonna wonder it. I know it
Sure.
because anything digital, they wonder how much support is there, how much do they have to do. That's like the major question with GM Baptist Outreach.
Right.
Anytime we present the digital track ministry, someone one of the predominant questions is, well, how much does it cost? That's another big one. But another predominant question is, how much of this do we have to do? Like how much do we have to be
Right.
involved with this? What's the support? So I know that's a big one. Is there anything else you want to share on the digital mission display that you didn't get to share or present that you wanted to show?
Well, I did want to share that the fact that the kids, the youth engagement of everything or mission display. So let me see if I can share this screen. So I wanted to be able to let folks know that we have, kids that are interacting with the mission display. They're literally getting involved, learning where countries are. They're schools can use this as a tool to get the kids out of the classroom and understand what missions is all about. And then they can pick missionaries that, to pray for and missionary families, because a lot of missionary families obviously have kids. And one of the things that we'd love to be able to do is build connections with those kids on the field so that, they have long-term relationships with the missionary families and with the church families. But ideally, in the future, and what we're working on is to be able to put everything right in your hands so that you can, be a child or a young person that has a phone can be a friend with a missionary anytime they want to. They don't have to be in the church. So it's a sneak peek, but and it's a teaser that we have new software coming out. But one of those things that is a major priority for us is connecting, not just showing, but connecting. There's a big difference.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That's what it crossed my mind when you was talking about that. It'd be awesome if people could if there was like an all-in-one chat on the TV where they could actually submit like just send a message directly to a missionary in like an
Right.
all-in-one chat somewhere, and the missionary can log into his digital mission display portal or whatever with the church and see the messages from the church members or from the pastor or from different things where he can actually just message back and everybody can see the responses from the TV. That'd be neat.
Right, right. Yep. There's a lot going on in this ministry, and there's things that we probably shouldn't talk about right now, so just not to confuse people, but those types of things are coming.
Yeah, that's
100%.
cool. That's cool. Yeah, that's cool. And I'm glad you showed those pictures of like the screen on the wall with the kids touching it. It's kind of where people can get a visual of what it looks like. If it
Yeah.
was set up in their church and everything. Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
the other thing I do want to mention is that the software has been downloaded and used in over 700 churches. We have personally communicated and had relationships with almost 400 churches. So you can download the software for free. You can use it for up to 3 missionaries. And so if you want to just test it out, go to missiondisplay.org, go to the software downloads and test that software out. When you're ready, the range of software costs just, for the software is $20 to $40 a month, depending on what, level that you'll be at. Yeah, I want to mention that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. That was actually going to be the other question is, what's it cost to kind of set something like this up? Because that'll
Yeah,
be another question is, what is the
right.
cost? And it might be better if they can hear it from here. What is like if they said, hey, or our church, we said, hey, Paul, we want to set this up, today. How do we get started? What's it cost to get started? What's it cost monthly to, continue?
Right. Yeah. So great question. Let me share this with you. So everything is, I try to say it's transparent, but there's some things that maybe we may have missed or something that may have a question that is kind of oh, I didn't realize to share that with folks, but we don't hide anything. I'm trying to be 100% transparent. The mission display sizes, missiondisplay.org is the website. You can go right on the homepage, click on mission display sizes. All the pricing is transparent, and we have different size screens, 32, 43, 65, 75. And the cost is it's an investment, and it's an investment in commercial products. So we don't just send a TV, a plastic TV that is going to, get dropped 2 inches from the ground and be destroyed. It's a commercial metal, commercial touch screen. The computers are Intel computers. They're have very high memory on them, and they're very fast so that they can display um, video easily and things like that. But ranging in prices, it's 3,600 to $4,800 depending on how big of a wall you have, or what size what kind of impact you want to have. If you notice right here, these girls on the right hand side, that's a 65-inch display right there. And then as far as a 75-inch display, this is a 75-inch. So you can see that there's a pretty significant difference between the 75, which is this, and the 65, which is this one. But yeah,
Yeah,
that's
for
that's where
sure.
we're at.
And just so everybody knows, this is, you're paying for the TV, the hardware, all of that, the soft, that operates through everything. And then
The
after that,
training,
though, yeah, the training, the hands-on support, the Zoom call and helping you get it set up, all of that
right?
stuff, you're paying for all of that. So, that's really not that much for a one-time setup fee, basically. And then it's like 20 or $40 a month to maintain for what the rest of the church's life.
Right,
Um, yeah,
right.
and so no, essentially it's just 20 or $40 a month. It's just a large setup fee because you're buying the hardware, the TV. It's just a one-time purchase. And that gives you all the hands-on help support and getting it going until it's functional where it needs to be. And so yeah, that's really not that much. Most churches
Well, I've
spend
had
$5,000 a year on junk. So,
you got that right.
it's
I've
ridiculous sometimes. Yeah.
I've had yeah, I've had churches reach out to me and say, we're you, and by the way, you can use your own equipment. If you already have your equipment and you just want to use the software, put it on a computer. We sell the software by itself. We sell the software on a computer, and we sell it the complete package, which would include all of those things that I talked about, the training and that. And another thing that we include in the package for ministry partners is a form that we build on the website that you can send to all of your missionaries. They fill out that form, and then you have all that content right there in your inbox, and then you could just copy and paste it over to the software remotely from wherever you are. If you're at home, if you're in the office, or if you're on your way to somewhere, and you can just update the mission display remotely. So I've tried to make it as easy as possible so that there's not really any pain points, but everything has a learning curve, and everything pretty much has a price tag if you want some quality.
Yeah. Yeah. No, absolutely. For sure. I completely agree. And I think all of that's awesome. I think that's an awesome tool, an awesome opportunity, and an awesome thing for churches. It's a digital world. Digital is, it just saves time. Digital is used
Right,
to be a tool that helps and serves, churches in advancing the gospel. And I think the digital mission display is a big piece of that, when it comes to worldwide reaching the world, helping churches have a vision for missions, more interactive with their missionaries, just a greater heart for missions. I think it serves a purpose for all those things. So
right.
that's awesome. Is there anything else you want to say before we go? You want to add on or anything?
I do want to mention that along with the partnership that you have with us when you purchase a mission display package, we also I host a podcast called the Missionary Profile Podcast, and I would love to interview any of the missionaries that you support, have them give you updates of what they've been doing on the field that you could share in your sanctuary, those kind of things. And then I also wanted to mention that on the mission display we have an area for a profile video that the missionary can send a quick, hey, this is an update, that kind of thing with video. But keep in mind, we've got their biography, we've got their prayer letters, their prayer card, videos, and we can also pull video in from the web so that if they have a video on Vimeo or on YouTube, that can be pulled in directly from the internet.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And just off of that, like to me, that is worth it all. Like when it comes to the video aspect, because you got to think about a missionary can only say so much in a missionary letter. You send the
right.
missionary letter, people can read that letter, but you and me and everybody else knows reading something is like reading a text. But when you hear the voice and you hear the way the voice tone is, you can
Yeah,
feel what they feel a lot more. And
Yeah,
so
that inflection.
if you can have it set up to where they send you the missionary letter, but they can also monthly, if they want to record a quick 10-minute video explaining everything that's
Yeah.
in that letter, and the missionary can actually talk in the video monthly to send to the church that has the digital missionary display. They can't send it to all churches, only ones that have the digital missionary display.
Right.
They can record a short 10-minute video of what they have going on and what God's been doing, and they can talk about it passionately, and then the church
You
can
got it.
see their face and hear their voice and experience their passion and get it connected with, in their hearts. And you know what I mean? It just, that connection is just so much deeper when you can see a video personally, a personal video of someone talking about what's going on over there. So just that in itself would be the valuable piece of content for this whole piece. Even if all it did was that, to me, that would be, it
Right.
would make it all worth
Yeah,
it.
I couldn't have said it better. That's great. Yeah. The video aspect of it does have an impact. And I also would like to mention that I got a call in January, and I don't get these calls regularly, and I can't guarantee the outcome of everything, but I've had several like this just out of the blue. Brother Douglas on the phone. Brother Douglas just wanted to call and let you know that our missions giving went up $15,000 last year. That was in January. And then I also wanted to mention that I'm trying to get the missionaries that are in mission displays to do exactly what you said, a profile video or a ministry update. And now there's at least two that I know of out of the thousands of missionaries that are not only including a video in their email of a missionary of the ministry update, kind of an overview of their letter, but they're also including QR codes on their mission letters so that you can scan a QR code and either contact them, go to their website, do all those kind of things. I think God has given us the technologies to finish the Great Commission, and we're in such a day as this to help the missionaries that are on the field and the missionaries that are leaving the field and on deputation and being called to through mission display to help complete the Great Commission. I truly believe that we're here for that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's awesome. Well, I've thoroughly enjoyed this call. I've thoroughly enjoyed learning a lot about the digital mission display. For everyone that knows, or for everyone that's watching, I've known Brother Paul for a while, and I didn't know all the details that he presented today. That just makes it even more exciting. Thinking really what it can all do. The video thing is the video and the giving QR code to give directly to them from the church member if they wanted to. To me, those two things are huge. And
Right.
so that's fantastic. Well, with that being said, though, like we're going to go ahead and wrap it up. But if anybody
Sure.
is interested in talking, deeper with Brother Paul about digital mission display, we're going to have a form in the description of this video where you can actually submit that form, and he'll get all of the information, any questions you have, and he'll actually call you. He'll reach out to you,
Right.
call you, email, text, whatever's more convenient for you. But if you submit the form in the description, he will reach out to you directly. So if you want more information on it, you want to talk to Brother Paul directly on it, everything, fill out the form, and he'd love to hear from you. I'm sure of it. So,
Awesome. Thank you for the opportunity, Brother Dalton. I really do appreciate your heart for missions and just being able to have this conversation with you. You've, made me think about some things that we need to focus on even greater, especially the ones that you touched on. They are great. Video and QR codes are great, and in combination with each other, wow, yeah, that's a great thing. So, thank you so much.
yeah, awesome. Yeah, man, keep on doing what you're doing. We're praying for you and looking forward to seeing what God does with everything. But
Same.
have a blessed rest of your day.
You too. Thank you, brother.